Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 3. I am a strong and capable man. I am. Okay.
Aren't we all?
See, this is there's a lot of relatability with this episode in me, mostly in that I feel like this is my AFC Richmond jersey here. I feel like I could do as effectively on the pitch, as they say, as some of these players did, given that apparently Zava is the only one doing anything now at this point. I can stand there.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that because as great and fun as all the Zava stuff was, I have a little bit of a beef here with the idea that Richmond is going to go all the way because they brought in this one player. And I know that that can happen and does happen, but man, I'm invested in the team. I
Yeah.
want to see everybody have a piece of this pie.
I think it's gonna be fascinating to see where things all go here. I mean, there's a lot of theory stuff to kind of
Yep.
dive into, so we will get into, of course, all of that. But if you guys are new here, I am Matt. This is Jess. We are here talking all about Ted Lasso. We want you guys to be a part of the discussion, so share the video around to all of your other metaphorical Richmond teammates. Richmond till we die. We are gonna be here getting into everything.
Absolutely. And hit that subscribe button and follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Just TV.
Okay, I mean, the big thing really is that after kind of seeing the runtimes for these first few episodes, they should have just made this like a 16 episode season instead of like a 12, because there is a lot going on for a comedy that's like getting into like these 45-minute episodes, because there's so many different directions. We could even just go to start things off here.
Yeah. We'll start with Zava since we already
Yeah.
kind of started with him and my beef, which is kind of feeling a bit like the Jamie beef. He's having the same beef. We are having the same beef here, which is just that, I get, and I'm sure he gets too, that Zava is there to help the team. And
Yeah.
usually there is a star or two that really runs the team and everybody else is still part of it. Where here it's just like, Zava's got his own corner. He's got 4 lockers. Everybody else has one. He's got a TV. He's got a chair in his corner. He can show up 2 hours late. And, I understand why that is annoying. Like, I went to go see Prince once, who I love, and the concert was amazing, but he was 3 hours late. And I was just like, if you weren't Prince, I'd be gone, but I'll wait here forever for you, Prince. I will. I will. It was so good. But still, I
Yeah.
understand. People were getting restless and seeing this here too, where it was just like, Zava is not part of this team. He has a bunch of team members that are like worshiping him and like, anything for him. He even is making his own plays where he's at the top and everybody else is at the bottom. It's just he's stealing goals at the last second from Jamie. It's frustrating
Here's
and
here's
funny.
It is funny.
That tattoo of himself on his back is just I
This guy is this is the funniest thing about Zava at this point. And there's maybe some tinfoil hat stuff going on here, but he's a joke. He's a fraud. And like he's good at soccer. Like,
Mhm.
congratulations, you were good at something that I only played until I was like 7 because I was not good at it. You have that over me, Zava. Congratulations. But here's the thing. The moment something goes wrong for this guy, and I feel like it's going to, he is going to stop with his meditation stuff. He's going to stop like being all weird and eccentric. He's going to throw a tantrum. He's going to trash the locker room. He's going to start calling people childish nicknames. I just think this guy is so unbelievably just fake. And I feel like that's where we're setting up for this point where he's not going to be on the team at the end of this season. Like, I don't see it. Everybody is getting like caught up in this new shiny toy that has a limited warranty.
I just really hope that if Richmond is going to win it all, that it's not just because of this one guy. Again, I'm really invested in the team. I'm sure you guys all are as well. That I want it to feel like it's everybody. But the one great thing that came out of this was that conversation with Jamie and Roy, where Jamie was just like, I want to be as good as him. Like I used to be a great player, like the best player, and then this guy's here and I'm in my feelings about it, and Roy's like, "You want to be the best player? If you really want to be the best player, I can make that happen for you." So, I feel like going forward we're going to have a lot of gold there.
There is going to be an insane amount of gold because this is giving me like, we love Cobra Kai. This is giving me like major Cobra Kai
Yeah.
vibes at this point, except in some sort of like weird flip situation. I think Jamie is more of the Johnny Lawrence in this, but I think that is setting up for a really fun storyline. I think we all really enjoy those two, and I think eventually it's going to lead to Zava and Jamie butting heads a little bit more, and I think that is where eventually said tantrum could come from, where if Jamie does get one of these goals
Mhm.
because he's good enough, Zava is going to be like, how dare you do this to me? And he's gonna like, I don't
Take
know,
his ball and go home.
yeah, reanimate the tattoo on his back and have it like come to life and start like attacking people. I think he's gonna be a very interesting sort of foil, and
Mhm.
I think the big interesting challenge for the show is gonna be like, when are you going to have this go off the rails? Like, are you gonna continue this for 4 or 5 episodes? Are all these people gonna be like Zava zombies by the end of it?
Yeah, I mean, it could go on. I'm hoping it's not going to go on all season.
Yeah.
I'd be good with, 4 or 5 more episodes, have a really nice arc with this, and then he takes his ball and goes home or something along those lines, because we've already kind of seen that story arc with Jamie
Yeah.
where he was kind of like, "I'm the greatest, whatever, whatever, on everybody's nerves." And then he had a really great redemption arc, and then they kind of didn't know what to do with him after. So, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go with Roy and Jamie, because I think that storyline is going to be really good.
I think the existence of the Zava character, I think it's probably a couple of things. It's number one, what you just said. I think it's to give us the Roy and Jamie
Yeah,
storyline. And I think the reality here is we all want to sort of see, Ted versus Nate, West Ham versus Richmond. I mean, despite the shirt, I am not a Premier League football expert here, but I am assuming they don't play. Well, they obviously don't play every single game, so you can't have them going head to head every week. You needed to find something else for the team to do
hmm
before we build in to that showdown. I mean, once again, Nate not all that active in this episode other than just like a pretty quick little shot at him.
yeah. But it was interesting to hear the commentary in this episode where they were kind of like, "Oh yeah, Zava's great, and Ted's got a great person on his team, but is that really his coaching, or he just has a really great person on his team?" Where the other guy's like, "Yeah, but Nate has something."
Yeah, I hope we get to the Nate stuff very, very soon. Like
hmm
everything I think at Richmond was by and large very entertaining. The part of this episode though that I'm like scratching my chin about the most is what's going on with Rebecca here. And this, I don't believe we are venturing into supernatural territory on Ted Lasso. I do not believe necessarily that this medium has like incredible powers. Now, there might be some out there who believe in such a thing as the psychic connection, and that's
Sure.
fine. And there may be an element of that to this. But I think the most important thing is that this psychic, I believe her name was Tish, she said something about a green matchbook. And as it turns out, Rebecca gets a green matchbook at Sam's restaurant at the end of the episode. She
Yeah.
also talks about Rebecca being a mother. And, in that moment, that's where Rebecca gets furious and storms out because, we know that's something that she wants. And I think she doesn't want to get herself hurt by like buying into something from this person she frankly does not believe. So, is this a coincidence or are we actually setting up for something more? I think we all want Rebecca happy.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of make your own magic when you're going to see a psychic,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like you can take elements of what someone has said, if it's something that you really want for yourself, and start to see that stuff around in life. So, we saw her looking at the matchbooks at home and was like, no, 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 I'm
Yeah.
not going to get myself into this. And then she gets the green matchbook from Sam. And it's like, okay, well, what are the chances that she was going to come across a green matchbook? Well, it's 100% because she did. But I mean, in general, It's pretty good. Like, somewhere along life, she would have ended up probably coming across a green matchbook and
Yeah.
been like, "Is this it? Is this the time? Is this the sign?" You know, like, if they had said something like, "You're gonna come across a duochrome matchbook or a clear matchbook," I mean, then it's a little more like, "Ew," you know, are you really ever going to? But you're gonna pick a color like green, blue, red, whatever, you're
Yeah.
probably gonna come across it.
Yeah, inevitably something like this was going to happen. I think that the fact that it happens at Sam's restaurant, like that's where you can start to get that
Yes.
sort of serendipity here, where it's so easy to root for Rebecca and Sam. Like I really liked that relationship a lot last season when it was going. It was
Yeah.
really unexpected. Like I recognize there are also people out there who ship Ted and Rebecca, and the idea of like you're gonna have a family. You know, does she end up with Ted? Did she have that? It's just for me, I prefer Sam and Rebecca. I think there's potential that's coming there, but it's also a lot of potential that all of this is a fake out and there's just going to be some other, guy who shows up like 4 episodes later and that's the real connection, or they
Mhm.
were at Sam's restaurant and that's sort of where things dovetail.
Absolutely. I mean, this can go, Rebecca's going to be a mom can mean a lot of things. I
Yeah.
mean, I've got my mom, I've got my stepmom, my grandma was in there for a while helping out. I
Mhm.
mean, she could be adopting, she could have a surrogate, she could, it could be anything. That's what's so like open again about sort of the interpretation of this psychic being like, oh, you're going to be a mom. Okay, well, again, it's a little bit of that make your own magic. What's the context of how she's going to be this mom? It could be anything.
It really, there's a lot of unlimited possibilities. And I will say this as
Yeah,
somebody
there
who
is.
sat through an insane amount of How I Met Your Mother and is currently watching two
Oh,
seasons of How I Met Your Father, even though I hated the ending of the original
I
show.
was gonna
I'm
say
still
you
what?
you brave man
I kind of
after
like the
that
new show.
ending.
I'm trying to just tune that ending out of my head, but
Woo!
it's like there's nothing I enjoy more than a like who is blank character going to end up with storyline, and so it's just like I'm all in on this Rebecca story. I hope it doesn't disappoint me. I really like Rebecca; she's one of my favorite characters, so I'm pulling for something like that. And I think this is a show about optimism. It's a show
Mhm.
about overcoming obstacles. She's overcome a lot. I think
Yep.
they're going to give us something. It's just kind of a matter of when and then also who.
All right, let's talk about poor Ted and what's going on
Oh,
here
Ted.
because, oh my goodness, to find out that his ex wife is now with their marriage counselor, I
Yeah.
mean, oh, woof. That's gotta hurt in ways that I truly can't imagine. I truly can't imagine.
It's I'm having a hard time with this if I'm being honest. Like I don't know if I like the choice. It's just that it's fine if she ends up with somebody else, but it's like we've already covered the ground of Ted having distrust towards therapists with like everything with Sharon last season. So to then be like, oh yeah, and here is this therapist that you guys were seeing, and now he's dating your ex. It's just okay. It's a little too on the nose for me, and I know this show can be a little bit on the nose here or there, but I think ultimately the sentiment is just sort of the same where he's having to watch, this person he loved move on and, spend time with his son while he is on another continent. It's all inevitably bringing us closer to this end where Ted goes back to
Yeah.
America.
I wasn't a fan of it being the marriage counselor. Like, I think it could have been anybody else and
Yeah.
it still would have had the exact same effect on him. I think making it the marriage counselor kind of makes it that Ted's ex-wife, like, I know he was kind of like, oh, it was, much later, but it's
Yeah.
still like really kind of icky because that guy was there trying to help them with their marriage. And now it's like, oh, and it didn't work out. Well, now I'm going to be with her. It makes it icky on him. It doesn't feel that great on
Yeah.
her. Like, it feels like it's done her character kind of dirty in a way that it didn't need to work out like that. And I'm not saying like things don't happen. Sometimes it
Yeah.
happens and it works out like that. Okay, that's fine. But like the person that was trying to help like fix your marriage, I don't know.
It was yeah, it was weird. I don't think it needed that. I think the storyline, it was effective enough on its own. And
Yeah, it was.
yeah, sometimes the show it goes the extra mile with things, and that's the biggest, and really to the point where it's like overshooting where it needs to get. That's my one biggest critique with this season is that we have so many funny, ridiculous moments. Colin crashing the car, the theme song getting interrupted, the tattoo of Zava, like there's just a lot of these, but there's also these things where they stretch them out too long, and it just sort of makes it okay. You guys didn't have to go that far, like the bit with Julie Andrews as an example of this, where it was funny, and okay, great. Roy's a fan of the Princess Diaries, but it also just went on just like a tad bit too long, and they're playing out a couple of bits, I think, longer than they really have to.
Okay, let's talk about Colin. You brought him up. So
Colin.
here's the big Colin story where
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh, we're getting a Colin story
Yeah.
because we're 3 seasons in now.
Yeah.
We haven't really gotten to know Colin really at all. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. We're going to get some story about him where, he has this man that, I think he loves, or at least he's kind of getting much closer with, where it's seemingly like he's trying to not necessarily hide his relationship, but kind of. I mean, he brought him to Sam's restaurant, but introduced him as a friend. But he's not really being that quiet about it. I mean, Colin drives like an orange lamb, like,
Yeah.
and he's got parked right out front of his house. He's, kissing him in an alleyway that's right outside the restaurant, like out in the open. It feels like he's not hiding it, but he's not hiding it. So the whole sort of Trent walking by and being like, okay, because we know that he's writing a book.
Yeah.
It's like, is this information really like information that Trent's gonna care to put in his book? And I'm not like being like, no one cares about Colin, but like, we don't really know Colin very well. We're just still getting to know him. He's not one of the bigger footballers either, like on this team. So is this something that Trent is just gonna look at and be like, meh? Or is it going to be like, oh, people are going to care about this? And that's where I think the show missed it, where I think they needed to have Zava in the alleyway for me to believe that Trent is going to care enough about this to write about it.
They could have made an even bigger sort of reveal with that, and I think it would have popped a little bit more, because it's just sort of like where it stands right now is, Trent is somebody who has, written some things he clearly regrets in the past. And
yeah, and he has admitted that.
Yeah, I don't think Trent is going to go and just write something about Colin at this point without Colin's permission. I don't think that's where this is going. I think I could see a conversation happening with Trent and with Colin where we sort of get this, just to let you know, I saw this. Is this something you want to talk about? Maybe it sort of gets in Colin's head, and that's sort of a way that we can implement a little bit more of his story on the show, so he can let everybody know just how strong and capable a man he is. Then, I would love that for him. I think he's a character they could really do a lot with.
Yeah, I just don't want to see the arc that we've had with Trent backslide, because I mean, we've seen, Trent have this conversation with Roy recently where he's like, yeah, I was really edgy. I was writing whatever to get attention and make my mark, sort of thing. He's way past this now. I mean, we even saw him with Ted and that whole Nate situation to be like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be writing this. Also, my source is Nate. Peace, that he then sort of fires himself from this job. I think he's just gone on such a journey that to see him take something that's really personal of Colin's life, that's a private part of his life, to write in his book, where, the book's really about the team, or the team coming together and how the team is working. And it's a little less about like, look at what Colin's doing over here.
Yeah, it's I think they're going to bring this up hopefully within the next couple of episodes.
Yeah,
I know
I think so.
They waited a little while on Ted and what's going on here with Dr. Jacob, but hopefully this is brought up. And now here's the biggest mystery of this entire show, and I do not have any answer. Maybe you guys in the comments have an answer. what's the deal with Coach Beard and Jane? Like, I do not understand. I mean, it's funny in a very weird sort of way. I'm cheating on you with you. It's just like, what is happening with these two? But it's
What's happening is they don't know what to do with Coach Beard, and they have this relationship going on, which is, I'm really lukewarm on it. Like, it was fine for a while, and it feels like a kind of like a joke that's just going on a little bit too long, where it's like, okay, let's kind of wrap it up now. There are other things that, he can be doing.
it's clearly bad for him. And it's like that was the whole point of the
Yeah.
Beard episode. It's like he goes through all this, he finally meets Jane at the club, and she's like, go put on this hula hoop and dance. It's just he I don't know if they're ever going to evolve it. I don't know if it's ever going to change. Like Higgins tried. It's just it's so unbelievably weird. But anyway, you can share all your Coach Beard theories, but we will be back next week to talk about episode 4 and everything that is going on there. We would really appreciate it if you help to spread the word. We do not have friendship bracelets like Danny Rojas, but
Oh,
football is life.
oh,
Thank you
Danny.
guys, and we will see you here next time.